love to hear the explanation. Not that we were, but Chicho Arango was through and away.
That's a difficult one for me. This call obviously will change the game.
Welcome to Instant Replay presented by Cheez-It for MLS Decision Day. I'm Andrew Wiebe, as always, with Charlie Davies. And Charlie, before I let you have the two magic words, we have a special guest. Christina Unkel is here, former FIFA referee, rules analyst, and certified VAR. She is going to clean up our mess. 2 words, Chuck.
Let's go.
On Decision Day, it's all about win and you're in. And Orlando and Columbus needed a W. Columbus up 1-0, but then old habits, yeah, they die hard. 1-1. Now it's going to be 2-1 because in the 81st minute, Degenek, Columbus' center back, is whistled for handling the ball on a shot from Benji Michel. It wasn't caught initially by Alex Chilowitz, but the VAR, Fotis Bazakos, flags Chilowitz, sends him to the monitor, and Chilowitz points to the spot. That penalty is scored by Facundo Torres. That's the deciding goal. 2-1 Orlando. They're into the playoffs. What do you make of this call, Charlie?
This is a great job by the VAR official to flag this because Degenek's hand is in an unnatural position. It's by his head. It is outstretched from his body, making it unnaturally bigger, which is why it blocked the shot of Benji Michel. And they did a good job to make sure that they signaled this to the referee.
Christina, help the people at home understand what makes this an unnatural position. What is the VAR looking for in this situation?
2 main things that the VAR is looking for is 1, to see whether or not their arm is outside the silhouette, by that meaning not tight to your body but extended. But more importantly in this play specifically is that the arm is above the shoulder. And anytime you have an arm above the shoulder, 9 out of 10 times this will be considered a handling offense. And as Charlie mentioned, good job by the officials, but more importantly, the fact that they got that misconduct correctly. It was a shot on goal, yellow card 2 with the penalty.
If you were wondering what that pause was after Alex Chilowitz went to the monitor, he's got his hands in his ear, he's getting more information. That's what Christina is here for, helping us understand the behind the scenes of this referee crew. Yellow card and a PK is the call. All right, Minnesota, Vancouver, another win if you're in. Vancouver down 1-0. They're pushing. End of the first half. 42nd minute, Brian White goes down in the penalty area under pressure from Will Trapp. Trapp's coming in there pretty strong. He might have tackled him. Is there contact there? Is it a penalty? No PK is the call from Alan Chapman. Check complete from John Freeman. He does not recommend a review. And initially, live, I was a little bit frustrated. I was upset. For Vancouver, that is. I was saying, hey, that's a penalty. But Charlie, when you watch this back closely, you really break it down frame by frame, as the VAR is doing, I'm not sure I see clear and obvious contact on Brian White. If you see that critical moment, I actually see a little bit of daylight between legs here. It looks bad, but I don't have the angle from behind the goal, and so I don't think I could say that this is a clear and obvious error.
Well done, Andrew. I'm proud of you. You didn't let your emotions take you in the wrong direction. This is a well-timed challenge from Will Trapp, who gets his toe on the ball. No PK.
And Christina, now you know what it's like to work with Charlie. He takes that big brother role. Oh, I'm right. You're wrong. Let me help you along. Just, you know what? Just stand behind me. Let the big boy handle this right now. Christina, what is the process here? If you're the VAR in this situation, what are you looking for? What are you seeing? How do you make this call?
As the VAR, you're looking for 2 things here. 1, if there is actual contact on the ball. Here, I'm not necessarily as, sold as Charlie is that there was contact on this ball. By the toe, if anything. I would argue that there was no contact on it. But the second thing that I'm looking at to overturn, or at least recommend to the referee in any way or shape or form, is whether or not there was contact on the foot from Trapp onto White. Here, when we take a look at it, if we're going to be sending the referee to overturn or recommend to overturn their on-field decision, it has to be a definitive angle that shows, in fact, that contact was made. Many of the angles that we have seen go through the back in the sense of the angle through Trapp. There we can't see, and you actually see space between Trapp and White at the time that, quote-unquote, either contact was made or contact could have been made after the fact. So the fact that we don't have that definitive angle, as the VAR that Freeman did here appropriately, it's a check complete, decision on the field stands.
Look, if we had that angle behind the goal, we might change our tune here. We don't have that angle. You got to go with the information provided. Now, there was more information, more angles, basically everything we needed to make the call in the 9th minute. LAFC Nashville Nashville would win this game, but this call could have changed everything. Chicho Arango is in behind the Nashville defense. You have Shaq Moore on Arango's right, and you have Dax McCarty chasing behind. And Charlie, Dax does what a wily veteran who knows he's not going to catch Arango does, and that is hook him and pull him down. That's clearly a foul. It was a yellow card on the field from Ted Unkel. No review recommended from Kevin Terry Jr. for DOGSO, but boy, this looks like DOGSO to me. What do you think?
For me, this is DOGSO. As Chicho Arango takes that long touch to put him in on goal, 1v1, Dax makes the decision to pull him back, to delay him, to foul him. And in this case, you're denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. So I think with the distance to goal, this should have been a red card and overturned by VAR.
You don't think there's too much distance? Because that's what I think the referee crew would point at to say, not DOGSO. What in your mind makes this distance appropriate to call DOGSO?
Well, you take a freeze frame shot of when he takes that touch. Joe Willis is nowhere to be found. He's not even coming out to anticipate this 1v1 breakaway. So for me, Chicho Arango would have had enough time to get on that ball and take a shot on goal.
I'll also point to the positioning of Shaq Moore. Dax McCarty, in grabbing, pulling him down, has acknowledged, in my opinion, I am not defending this play. I'm not getting there. I'm not stopping Arango. He's got to step on me. He is faster than I am. Shaq Moore, if you pause it right here, Editor Phil, look at where Shaq Moore is right before Dax McCarty hooks Arango. Shaq Moore is out wide, a few yards away, bad angle to the touch, which has been taken away from him toward the center of the goal. He is not going to get there. Arango has multiple steps on him. Arango will get there first, before the goalkeeper, before the defender, in my opinion, and that's a shooting opportunity for the number 9 at the top of the box. For me, that is DOGSO. Now, Christina, clean it up a little bit here. Are we on the right path here, in your opinion, or is there something that we've missed?
I think both of you are on the right path. When we talk about DOGSO, we're talking about 4 different considerations. And one of those considerations that could only be at play from determining whether it's a yellow card versus a red card for stopping a promising attack versus denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity is the distance in this play. You both hit it on the head. Moore is essentially outside of this context of this play. Unless he has some type of Superman speed and skill and ability and a well-timed tackle to come from behind to save this, we can't rely on that. Instead, we have to determine, is this an obvious, and I'm going to emphasize the word obvious, goal-scoring opportunity? Distance would be the only thing that would potentially mitigate this, it being about 15, 20 yards on top of the 18. Goalkeeper's not necessarily a conversation here to be having. So here we really have to understand is, would Chicho Arango, this is not a FIFA consideration, this is not IFAB, but this is a simple but-for analysis. But for Dax McCarty committing that foul on Chicho Arango, would he have had a shot on goal? This is why, in my personal opinion, I do think that this is a denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity and red card for the considerations that you guys hit. Moore is to the right-hand side of Dax McCarty. He's already a step or two behind. We're already going down to the center. And would Chicho Arango have had an obvious goal-scoring opportunity and basically be able to hit it? In my opinion, I think he would. I think this needed to be a DOGSO red.
Okay, some quick hits for you here. Chicho Arango involved again, this time fouled by Daniel Lovitz in the 45th minute. And yes, that is an obvious PK, folks. Lovitz is not going shoulder to shoulder. He's going shoulder to back. He's running through the attacking player. Easy PK call there from Ted Unkel. Well done. And now let's go to Philly-Toronto. 58th minute, Shane O'Neill whistled for the handball on Ura's shot. Philly's up 2-0. Final score 4-0. This doesn't really matter in the standings, but let's just help you understand why a handball was called. His arm is outstretched from his body. Deflections in the IFAB rules do not matter anymore. That's a previous iteration. So when your hand is in an unnatural position, you take on the risk. Ball hits his hand on a shot toward goal. That is going to be a PK every single time. And then Felipe in the Austin, Colorado match in the 79th minute, fouled by Brian Acosta in the penalty area. You can see it. I can see it. He runs him over, bundles him over. Obvious PK. Well done to the referee crew on that one as well. But, Charlie, we have some other big calls from Austin we do have to hit. 82nd minute, Diego Fagundes scores a goal. It's called offside on the field, and that stood, obviously, after a VAR check. But to me, he is onside.
I'm with you, Wiebe. I think Diego Fagundes is in an onside position, but there's not a clear, definitive angle where you can say with 100% certainty that Diego Fagundes is onside. This is an angle from the side, and we do know angles can play tricks on us. But I will say, from the blades of grass and the angles cut in this grass, I think he is onside, and I just don't think that's enough for them to look at it in VAR and say, this has got to be onside and let's overturn the call on the field. So, with that being said, I think they did a good job of keeping the call the way it was on the field. Although, man, I do think he was in an onside position.
Christina, walk us through for VARs the difficulty of this call. With this angle in this moment, to say definitively that there's a clear and obvious error. It's one of the most difficult calls in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, Andrew, and as you mentioned, there are not having that definitive angle right behind the assistant referee makes this difficult. You have to stop and freeze this at the point that the teammate plays that ball to Diego on this situation. And once you freeze it, you realize that the lower body extremities are a lot closer than when it initially played. And now you're making that analysis on the upper body. Was the upper body in an offside position or not? Before the fact, we're looking at this, we're debating it. A little bit of our gut tells us, hey, this might be onside. We don't have that clear evidence that tells us, in fact, it is onside. And because of that, the decision on the field has to remain at that point.
One more from Austin, Colorado. The reason Austin fans were frustrated is that right after this play, Colorado scored. The game ended 1-1. Though it didn't change Austin's seeding in the playoffs. Just saying. The play is this. Another DOGSO, 92nd minute, Charlie. Lalas Abubakar and Sebastian Driussi in a foot race. Driussi goes down after contact from Abubakar. No foul is the call on the field. We just hit a DOGSO with Dax McCarty. What do you think on this one?
I think I'd stick with the call on the field. Lalas Abubakar gets lucky, but he uses his shoulder-to-shoulder challenge. Now, this is, yeah, it's physical, but I don't think this is anything more than that. This is just a case of, I got lucky with the last-second physical contact that was legal and that the call should stand.
I'm okay with it, too, and I don't think it's DOGSO either way. I think the likelihood of Driussi keeping or gaining control of the ball with the goalkeeper coming out and that touch being pretty long is very, very low. So for me, that would not be a DOGSO play. If you were to call a foul on it, it would be stopping a promising attack, in my opinion, and a yellow card.
You hit it on the head. Here, decision on the field should stand. We don't want anything near a DOGSO red, so VAR would not become involved in anything. If the referee was to make a decision here, they would be giving a yellow for stopping a promising attack. That would be something that VAR would not intervene or make any recommendations for the fact that we're missing, to your point, the ability, the opportunity to have that ball on that next play. So the decision on the field was good for the referee. No foul, in my opinion, is the preferred decision, and moving on.
All right, last one here. Jean Mota, 21st minute, Miami-Montreal. Montreal with a big win on the road. A potential handball in this touch from Lassi Lapalainen. Montreal's up 2-0. The final score is 3-1, so you could say this doesn't really affect the game, Charlie. No PK is the call. What do you think on this one?
I stand with the call on the field. As Christina touched on earlier, his arm is within the body's silhouette. That is not extended away from his body. He is not making his body unnaturally bigger. For me, this is a no handball, no PK situation, and we move on.
And we move on to the Audi MLS Cup playoffs. Decision day in the books, full coverage, MLSsoccer.com and the MLS app. Big thank you to Christina Unkel for coming in here and whipping us into shape. It was a 3-person VAR booth on Instant Replay, and we had a ton of fun. Thank you so much, Christina.
Hey, glad to be here. Glad to be with you. Glad to break down these plays. Thanks for having me.
Referee nerds unite. If you see something, say something in the playoffs. Get at us on Twitter. Big thanks to our editor, Phil Levanco, our producer, Rich Hernandez. For Charlie Davies, I'm Andrew Wiebe. We'll see you next time.